Guys, let's get into the big news that came down yesterday, and that was that the EU court rules that UEFA and FIFA's ban on the Super League was illegal. There has been so much that's developed since this all came to light. Yesterday, we had a lot of guests join us on the show to talk more about it. Jeff Shreves, Guillaume Balaguer. So we didn't really get a chance to give all of our reactions. And we also have seen a lot of teams come out now with statements rejecting the European Super League. So these clubs have wasted no time making it known how they feel about this proposed thing that has really just kind of dominated the headlines over the last 24 hours. But if you'll take a look, the teams that have the asterisks next to their name were part of the original Super League plan. So these clubs have since come out and said that they are not in favor of this Super League project. Here's a list of so a lot of teams, as you can see, we needed two different screens of graphics just to show every single squad. Charlie, I want to start with you. Why do you think that it's been such a quick reaction from the clubs to get a statement out in light of this news?
I think because they saw the initial reaction from the supporters, from various clubs, from leagues, that this is going against everything that football stands for and creating an exclusive league. And so, you know, when you see clubs like Manchester City, Man United, Bayern, Inter, Chelsea, PSG, Roma, Tottenham, Liverpool, that's a statement. You can't have a Super League without those clubs being a part of it. So I think, you know, there's on one hand, you have the monopoly, is what they're saying is UEFA has this monopoly in FIFA on the Champions League. But on the other hand, this has always been the way so that everyone can participate if they have a good season. They earn it versus, no, you got to be in the Super League where we're all about greed, baby. So it's good to see that they didn't back out and say, okay, now that ruling's out, we're in.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that simple. I think for some of the clubs, I think they're using it as a PR stunt because this helps cover what they're going through. And in particular for me, I feel like a club like Manchester United, they've been shambolic for so long. They're getting heavily criticised. What better time now to take the attention away from the poor performances and the management situation, the recruitment situation, by saying, oh, we're not part of the Super League because of the fans. Like, the reality that I feel is football clubs now are not owned by local businessmen who grow up in that city or that town supporting that club, who the club is a symbol of who they are and who they became. The reality of it is these clubs are owned by businesses and companies. They're in it to make money. They know there's money to be made in football. So I don't take these statements as the gospel truth. I think they're just trying to save face and make it seem that they really care about the fans. And I feel deep down they want to make money. If this whole thing now, it's not an easy conversation. There's so many elements you're going to look into it. And I feel that some of these clubs are secretly holding talks. They're waiting to see how it could be formatted in a way where they can keep everyone happy, where they can make more money.
The problem is there is no way that makes everyone happy.
There isn't going to be any way, but these big clubs will want to make money.
But at the end of the day, don't you feel like that the priority, as unfortunate as it is to say, will be the financials?
100%.
The money?
If we really sit back and think that these teams are saying no to this right now, simply because of the fans, it's being naive.
Yeah.
Fans are a part of it. They certainly don't want their supporters to be mad at them. They don't want the outrage. They don't want the outpouring.
It'll hurt their pockets. Business-wise is why they're saying, hey, we're not going to get into this, because they don't know how many people will actually be a part of the Super League.
Yeah, so everyone has to right now say, like, we have no plans to be on it. Our position hasn't changed, so on and so forth. The truth is, as this goes forward, if it presents an opportunity for these clubs to make untold millions more than they're currently making now, they will sell it to their fan base as, well, we're putting our club at a position to lose if we don't, because we want to get the best players. We want to give you guys the best competition, so we're going to have to join this. And it may not satiate that fan base, but over time, these clubs are going to do what they want, and it's a shame because it's out of the hands of the fans.
As much as we're passionate about football, the reality of it is you have to accept it's a business. You know, that's something that when you play through it as well, I saw that change, and I had to accept the business side of football because you hear it. And I know ex-players who've gone into that business administration role, and they just see business. And I have to look at them and say, bro, you used to be a player. Remember what it was like? He's like, I know, but this is the game that you're in now. and a lot of these clubs are owned by businesses, corporations. They're in it just to make money. I think that it's naive. I think there's an element where culture does play a part. So for me, German clubs have always been about their fan base, their city. I think Germany as a nation, they will be one of the few nations in Europe that will be completely against it because of what football means to the club, the country, and the culture.
But legally,
Now,
they can't join anyway because of the 50+1 rule.
yeah,
like,
but
legally.
that's what I'm saying. They've got social contracts with their fans. Like in England now, the English government's getting involved because they know that the British government can lose money because of what football brings to the nation and the revenue it brings into the government. So they won't want English clubs to be part of it.
And
but
England
what this does,
need it.
they don't need it.
England don't need it because they have it. But
Yeah.
a club like Barcelona and Real Madrid, La Liga, is not strong financially. And so you have a team like Barcelona who's, man, they're in the red. They're trying to pull all these different levers.
They're flying to Talis.
They need that.
They were in Texas just this
They
week,
need
actually.
that guaranteed income.
Yeah.
And you look at some of MLS, NBA, NFL, it's guaranteed income every year. There's no fear of relegation, which European teams are like, how can we continue to raise the profile and have this guaranteed income? And a lot of it, so we don't have to go do this seesaw.
Yeah.
My biggest thing, just to add to that, is for me, is it's like, when do these clubs take responsibility and accountability? Like, they've been the ones running this club. It's your fault that Barcelona in this situation that they're in right now by mismanagement. Players that you've bought, money that you spent, wages, everything. It's your responsibility. So it's your fault you're in this situation. Now, don't look to say, oh, it's unfair, we can't compete. Where does the responsibility lie? The responsibility lies at the people who are running the club at that time. I remember the time when the Premier League wasn't seen as a glamorous league. Serie A was the king of Europe at one long time in period. Then I saw the growth in the Premier League with foreign players coming in. And credit to the Premier League how they've done it. They've marketed it to the world. When you watch the Premier League, it doesn't matter what corner of the world you're in. There's going to be a player that represents that corner of the world playing in the Premier League, which will make you tune in when you see the competitive nature, the multiculturalism of the league, and the way that the league has been marketed so well, and the sellout stadiums with the engagement of local fans wanting to go there. Other leagues have just sat back and got comfortable and haven't done that to push their own league forward.
But we're also seeing that in the representation of these ownership groups as well, which, as you start to get more and more, like, let's say, American owners involved in some of these top leagues in Europe, and some of that starts to really become more intertwined, how much more likely do you think that makes something like a Super League?
It makes it more likely, of course, because like Nigel said, these ownership groups are not from the town, they're not from the community. So they're looking at it as an investment to obviously.
Yeah, but that's modern football. That's not necessarily just the American owners' fault. I mean,
a big bit of it is the American ownership. Like, most of the clubs who went in there were heavily backed by American ownership.
Yeah, the American ownership at Newcastle right now in City.
Right.
What's that to do?
Really,
What?
Barcelona owned by Americans? Real Madrid owned by Americans?
Nah, they wouldn't let Americans in. They're not that naive. But anyway.
Well, so the English are naive. At least
Yeah,
we
they
figured
are.
that out. At least we figured that out.
No, but it's you know what this does as well, though? This puts pressure on UEFA and FIFA now, because I think now with these clubs coming out to reject it, we're going to look to see how the Champions League changes, because there's going to have to be changes now. And then with FIFA, with the Club World Cup, they're going to have to look at their new format, how they're going to do it to engage the clubs. So this is going to put pressure on change in Champions League and maybe Club World Cup to try and really kill Super League.
La Liga, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're trying to use this as a bargaining chip probably to make FIFA or UEFA change those rules to benefit them, of course.
Yeah, well, and they need the financial benefit